All right. Welcome back to the Lavender Octocast. I'm your host Ripper, and with me I have my co-host Druz. Um,
Hello.
we're going to be talking about food apparently, and I'm probably also going to throw hypothetical questions in when we run out of things to talk about for food.
Well, so the idea of food came from me currently eating, and I'm currently eating Chinese food, which is actually really good. Have you ever had Chinese?
Yeah, fortunately I'm 22 years old and have lived a little bit of a life, so
What's your favorite dish from like a Chinese restaurant? If you were to like walk into a buffet, what's the first thing you're going for?
I don't know because I don't I don't go for Chinese food normally. Is honey chicken
Okay,
Chinese?
I'm eating orange chicken right now.
The honey chicken though.
There's yeah, no, there is honey chicken. There's like
Yeah.
honey chicken, General Tso's chicken.
So I'll always go for honey chicken, but the problem is I'm intolerant to honey, which is really weird.
Oh, I actually didn't know that.
I haven't met many people that are intolerant to honey, but basically it just burns my stomach like nothing. I assume it's because I ate honey way too much when I was younger. Like I used to just drink it out of the bottle because I was a little demon child, and
What?
yeah, I'd
Out
just
of the
drink the
bottle?
honey. Yeah,
So even at a young age, you were like, "Oh man, I know I'm gonna be an alcoholic. Better start drinking with honey."
yeah, my fate sealed from the moment I was drinking honey from the bottle. If you ever drank honey from the bottle, congratulations, your future is set. Um,
Oh my goodness. Yeah,
yeah,
no.
no, I always eat it. I always regret it, but I keep doing it. It's just like
Mm.
spicy food. And, I love spicy food. I like the taste and like sensation. But then it gets to my stomach, and my stomach's like, "You piece of shit! What the actual fuck?" It's like, why have you forsaken me to this fate? And yeah,
Okay.
hell occurs.
I just remembered something. So it still ties in with food, right? But this is a fun story from like my childhood that I just remembered because like my mom was talking to me about the other day, and I'm eating Chinese food, and it has to do with Chinese food, and I was like sitting here thinking you're talking, and over here like, oh my gosh, I just had an epiphany. I need to tell you this story. All right, so let me set the scene real quick. Let's go back to whenever I had to have been like 5 or 6. I want to say maybe young. No, I was like 5 or 6. Anyway, I was 5 or 6. We lived in small little. I wouldn't say really tiny town, but it's a kind of tiny town. We didn't have a Walmart. We had a Kroger. We had a Kroger. There was a Ryan's, which is a restaurant. You wouldn't know what it is. It's like an old people restaurant. Um,
I probably won't know most restaurants you mentioned because, as I said, Australia doesn't have a Walmart or a whatever the other store you mentioned was. So
a Kroger's.
yeah, whatever the fuck
So
that is.
so Kroger. So back then, Kroger was like the main place you'd go to get like food and everything. It's basically a marketplace, and it was your common area. You can go there, get food, and get like everything you get at Walmart was basically in Kroger, and it was nice, right? So we lived in like a ranch style house. We had a little pool, and let me tell you, I did so many stupid things at this house. But we could talk about the other time. We can talk about me jumping off the roof and crashing an ATV into a tree later.
Fun
whenever I was
times.
whenever I was 5 or 6. Yeah, I did that when I was 5 or 6. So we could talk about that later. No, but the story I want to focus on is based around food. So it was whenever I was in first grade. My sister, she's 2 years older than me, so she was probably in like third grade at this time. And our school, if you were to draw it out on a map, our house was on one side of the tree line, and we could walk through the trees and get to my school, my elementary school. So that's what we did. Every day we'd walk there and back, right? And one thing our family always had were cats. We had so many cats. We still have a ton of cats, right? So we had cats. It was like we had Daniel Jackson, we had the Colonel, we had Sunny, we had like all. I think we had like 5 or 6 cats at this time. And like I said, this town wasn't very big. Well, one day they took down the Ryans that was right next to Kroger, and they put up this brand new. Chinese restaurant, right? I I don't remember the name, but I remember distinctly what it looked like. You could literally drive into the parking lot and you would look and you would smell like like that savory smell of like cooked fried food and like all the nice
Yeah,
sauces. You can
the
smell that,
the
right?
aroma of like the store was pouring out of the store.
Exactly. And so whenever it first opened up, man, that was a hit. Everybody went there. And for me, I was a very picky kid as a little kid. So I never went crazy. I never went for the orange chicken, never went for the honey walnut chicken or the honey walnut shrimp. I always went for like the chicken leg, like the chicken meat on a stick. That was always what I went for was the chicken meat on a stick. And it was just a stick. It had a big thing of meat, and I would have like a 10 of those, soak them in soy sauce, and I would chow down on that, right? Well, one day I can't remember how long it was since like the store opened, but I remember I think it was my sister or my sister's friend or it was my friend. We were sitting in the cafeteria or something, right? And we were talking, and they were like, "Hey, hey, Druz, you want to know something weird?" And I was like, "What?" And he was like, "All right, so we had a cat, right? And you know how this Chinese restaurant just opened up?" And he was like, and I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, so like my entire neighborhood, they started saying their cats started disappearing." And so me and so and so decided, "Hey, let's go see if we can figure out where these cats went." And so it was like him and like I think it was his older brother, and they went and they drove around and they're like, "We saw cats behind the back of the Chinese restaurant." And I was like, "No way." And he's like, "Yeah, I think the Chinese are stealing our cats and cooking them."
Oh no!
No, it gets better. It gets better, right? So I go back home, and at this point, we already lost two of like our five cats, right? And we were gonna have a litter of kittens right afterwards. And like I went home, and like I think my sister was told the exact same thing because we both were talking about it on the way back. We get back, and we're like, "Mom, Dad, the Chinese restaurant, they're eating cats." And my parents, they were just like, "Oh no, this is not true. This is something stupid. Don't worry about it, right?" And then we're like, "Fine, fine, blah blah blah." Okay. Fast forward 3 weeks, whenever there are no cats left in the neighborhood, and I'm dead serious about that. All the cats in our neighborhood was gone. All of our cats were gone. They come back. They were just gone. And we told everybody in that school that the Chinese restaurant was stealing cats and eating
No!
the cats. We told every single kid. And the part was after like 3 weeks after like almost all the cats are gone, we were like, "Yeah, they ate all the cats, blah blah blah," and like I think the parents started believing it because I think the parents reported all of the like disappearing cats, and then like a month later, the Chinese restaurant was closed.
So what you're saying is you just destroyed their business out of childhood paranoia.
Yes, but the thing was, it's the best thing was, I think it's actually kind of true because they started running out of things on the menu whenever all the cats were gone. So I'm not saying every Chinese restaurant's like this. I'm saying one in particular was.
That's so bad. Oh, that's really. You probably ate one of your cats.
That's what I was thinking too, right? So the chicken on a stick, right? It was always a dark meat. And if you know chicken is a light. I know this now because I cook a lot, right? So chicken is a lighter meat. It's usually drier. But no. This was dark meat. Like you bit into it and it almost tasted more of like a steak than rather than a chicken. So it was like a light meat, but it was like a darker cut. So whether that's actually chicken or if that's just a cat on a stick that I was eating, I never know. But yeah, that was just like I just remember that and I was like, "Oh man, I got to tell this story because think about Drew's running around like 5 or 6 and he's walking around to everybody being like, "Hey, the Chinese ate my cat. The Chinese ate my cat." And I'm running I'm going around. I
And
think I
all
even
the
told the
trees
teacher.
looking back and being like, "Oh, I don't think they ate my cat. I think they fed me my cat."
Yeah, so there's that. Man, I'm thinking about it now. I had so many memories in that one place that we lived cuz around a lot. And so whenever we lived there for I think it was like 2 or 3 years only. But in that time, I have so many memories. Like I said earlier, I jumped off the roof. So it's like a ranch style house. So it's probably about like 8 feet off the ground. Yeah, I decided to skateboard off the roof for some reason.
I mean, in theory, if you just landed on the skateboard, I'm sure you believed you would have been fine.
The beautiful thing was I didn't get hurt, but the one thing that my parents told me that I don't remember is I was wearing a Superman cape, right? And so I
Yeah.
skateboarded off. My thought process as a kid was, I have the cape on. I can fly if I cape.
Oh,
So
that's how really deluded, mentally ill people end up killing themselves by accident.
yeah, so I get on the roof, and I remember how I even got up there. My dad was re-shingling the roof, so he's up there, and all you hear is, and then you hear me, little old me, "Doot, doot, 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 doot." Skateboard. I set it down, and I'm like, all right, I am Superman, and I skateboard right off. And I remember I dropped the skateboard and I like leapt into the air, and miraculously I didn't hit or break anything. I smacked it against the grass and I tumbleweeded. And it was the best. It's so funny. Oh my gosh.
Dude, I have so many dumb stories of how I hurt myself, like breaking my arm showing off to a girl that was older than me in primary school. Uh, I was uh, I was I was afraid of doing the monkey bars because I could never bring myself to reach the second one.
Okay.
Um, because I'd always grab the first one, but this time I decided to just grab the second one and try to swing. But I didn't have like any upper body strength. I was a very skinny little child, so I've twisted my arm, like my body's rotated, it's twisted, and I've like fallen, and I've hit the ground, and broken my arm. And I got up, being like, "I'm fine" to the girl because I didn't want to like seem weak or whatever. Holding my broken arm and started walking away from my parents, and they're like, Donovan, come back! Like, oh no, whatever, I don't care. Like, come back! You can't. Like, what have you done? What have you done? And I'm like, I like my arm just hurts, and then my stepdad's like, let me just see it, and he grabs it, and he just bends it a little bit, and it's so obvious it's broken. It, like bends in the center of my forearm.
Oh gosh.
Oh man, and
Oh, that's crazy.
my arms are double jointed from the shoulders. I can make my arms backwards. Make my arms go backwards
Yeah.
because when I was in year 7 or 8, I think it would have been year 7. No, it was year 8. My friends used to swing off of the fire, like fire poles on a playground.
Yes. I
So
think
they
so.
would swing off of it and jump and land on their feet on the ground. So it's like maybe just short of a story, but like in height. But one day after school, while we were waiting for my parents to come, I went to try to do that exact same thing. But again, I'd never practiced it before, and I was always too scared to do it. So I've gone to do it, ended up like straight and let go. So I've started falling backwards,
No.
and I put my arms behind myself,
Oh no.
and it forced them to go backwards. Didn't dislocate them or break them, but it terribly sprained both my wrists and overextended my joints.
Oh my
So
god.
now they can forever overextend in my arms. Oh, dude, it
Ouch.
was it was like it was the sort of
Oh.
pain where I was trying to scream, but I couldn't scream.
Oh, I
Like,
know those pains. I
yeah,
know.
like it was so intense.
Oh gosh. Like in my head, I'm like kind of like I can imagine you have it where you go and it's like no, you just
Like panic, because yeah, it's terrifying, and let alone just like running around like a maniac as a child, an infinite amount of energy, and I twisted my ankles so many times that like I can stand on the sides of my feet. In fact, I naturally now stand on the sides of my feet instead of flat-footed, and I'm also
oh
duck-footed, so my feet are facing partially outward, and I'm standing on the sides of my feet.
That's so weird.
Yeah. My buddies are all warped and fucked up.
So
That's why I
strange.
always tell people that I have ragdoll mechanics. My buddies fucked in like a ragdolls.
I wanna get like an image of you and just shake you around like a rag doll. Just watch
Woo,
your arms
woo, woo.
flop around. Just like you just freaking smacking everything.
Drop me on the ground. I'm just like lying there like a ragdoll.
Oh my gosh.
Oh
No, but
man.
that reminds so like going along like the playground, right? So I have some stories of the playground. Now there's always the fun experiences of the playground where it's like your imagination takes over. It's like, oh man, I'm in a battle and I'm fighting all these, right? Then you have the
Yep.
other version of the playground where you own something of the playground. And the thing that I owned was this giant blue, I don't even know what it's called, but think
Had
of
it a
like a take a
function?
no circle
Mm.
and take one end of the circle and pull it slightly to make it oval and flip it upside down and it has like that twist to it. If you can imagine that.
Is it like a
So you have
balancing thing?
no, it wasn't though. It was a climbing rig and it had all these holes and you would stick your hands in them and you would climb up to the top, right?
So it's like a rock climbing thing, but basically made for kids.
Yeah, well it's a rock climbing thing, all plastic, stood up it was about 8 feet in the air at the highest point though. It was
Right.
massive, right? And it was like a horizontal oval with these twists and twisted upside down and came up. So, in my childhood, me, my other friend, and that was our spot. We would climb up to the top and we would scream, we would shout, and we claimed it as ours. And anybody who got to the top, we'd kick off because it was
Yep.
ours. And so, I remember this one day, there was this huge battle. It was between me, my friend, and this other kid and the football players. Because at the time, I didn't want to play football because my parents didn't want me to get injured as a kid in elementary school. So I'm climbing this rig. This is now in like a new house. This is probably third grade, third or fourth grade. So yeah, definitely much smarter, but not that smart. So probably about like 8 years old at this point, 8, 9. So we're climbing it, right? We get up to the top and we're like, yeah, we're the king, blah, blah, blah. And I remember getting hit in the head with a football because for some reason I ticked some kid off and he hit me in the head with a football. It was a good throw too. And he was like,
Okay.
hey, I'm coming up there to take your crown or whatever. It was like something stupid, right? And so he starts climbing, and me and my friend, we take like we're sitting up there and we have our shoes on and he and I both latch onto the sides and we start shaking the entire rig. So in our heads, this was like a full on like warfare. Like we were on a tank and these guys were trying to climb up on top and we're shaking this thing and they're trying to get to us. And I remember a kid taking off his shoe and throwing it at us because we were so annoying. And it missed, but we were just had this huge battle. I remember had this kid come up and he pushed me backwards off of the thing, but my hands were locked in. So I did like a somersault and I was dangling on the edge with one hand attached and I was like scared to death. I was like, ah, I'm hanging and I'm like screaming and it's really not that high, but as a kid, it's like
Well,
you're
as a
8
kid,
feet in
you're
the
small, so it is that
Exa-
high.
exactly. So I'm dangling 8 in the air, hanging down. I'm looking up I'm like, "Ah!" And it's probably not 8 feet, but at the time it looked 8 feet. And my friend, he comes, he grabs onto me, and he's like, "No, you're not dying!" And it was like this huge sappy like movie scene. And then what ended up happening was a kid stepped on my hand, and I fell. And I landed right on my back, and all you heard on the wood chips were splat. And I remember a girl started laughing at me on the swing set. She was dying of laughter because of how I fell. My friend got pushed off, so he landed right next to me, and we're both laying there looking up as this, as all the football players up there just laugh and they point and they make fun of us, and then a kid, not even related to the situation, comes up and just kicks wood chips face, like, like what
Yeah,
gives?
there's like that one kid that sees the whole event and he's like, "I want to be here too," and just attacks random people.
Yeah, like it was the weirdest thing. And then you skip ahead like a year. I made friends with all the football players. And they're like, "Hey, let's go play football." And we're at recess, and I'm like, "Sure, yeah, let's go play." Keep in mind, I've never played football in my life. I've only watched it from the playground atop of my blue structure. or
Yeah.
from running around like a maniac being chased by another maniac. So those are the only two reasons I've ever seen football at that point in time as a kid. So I made friends with them. They're like, "Come on, let's play." And they're like, "Here, you're small, you're fast, you're gonna be a wide receiver." And I was like, "All right, I can do that." No idea what wide receiver means, but I can do that. and so, and so I remember distinctly. We set up in a line. We had the biggest guy. He was in the back. He was like, "Say hi," and we go. And I start sprinting, right? And I didn't make a catch at all because they never passed it to me until this one time. So I'm running, and it was for a field goal. And I was so confident. I was running, and in the area that our field goal was set up was this giant tree, right? And there was all these roots and everything. And every kid that played football knew you had to be careful around the tree. If you smacked against a root, you could break something because a kid broke his arm there. So I'm running,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, so I'm running and I'm going as fast as I can. They're like, go long, and they throw it. And I'm like, oh, okay, I got this. This is my time. Turn around. The tree is right behind me. I turn around. I trip on a root. My hand goes up. I touch the ball. Surprisingly, I caught the ball. But what happened was how I caught it was it hit my pinky, fracturing my pinky, and then the
Oh,
ball, yeah, it hit my pinky of all things, just my pinky. But I managed to catch the ball on my chest as I fell backwards onto a root. I was in so much pain. I'm like, oh, I did it, and
you
they all came over. They were cheering, like, yeah, yeah. My pinky's all like freaking messed up,
know, like
and
your
I'm like,
pinky's broken and you're winded.
yeah, But here's the best part. Here's the best part. In my head as a kid, any break is an immense pain, right?
Hmm.
So I go home to my dad, right, and my dad knows his medical stuff. He takes my pinky and he looks at it. He was like, "Yeah, it's broken." And then he was like, "But it's not broken that bad." And I was like, "What?" He was like, "Yeah, it looks like he only broke this one little spot right here, and like it's like a little sliver." Because I think he had to take me into the ER so we could actually get like a little splint on it. Because for
Yeah.
some reason at the time they didn't have a splint for a little. So we had to go into the ER so that he could get the supplies to make a child splint for a pinky. See how ridiculous this story is? So we go in and they take like a quick little x-ray, find out it's a little like it's just like a little nugget popped out of like the bone. Just that's how much was cracked. That's it. And I thought I was dying. I literally thought I was dying. I was like, it hurts. Ah! It hurts.
Yeah.
Like,
The
ah!
childlike imagination of like in pain, but you're really not in pain is like like it would have hurt, but it wouldn't have been as bad. It's just the fact that it did hurt and it was broken, and you're like, "That's it, cutting off my pinky. I've lost it forever."
I know. The thing is, that's not even the worst thing I've ever done. My parents, like, I have all these weird stories where I like self injure myself, kind of for
That
the fun
sounds
of it.
really bad. That sounds even worse.
No, but as a kid, you don't realize it, right? So
Yeah,
I
but
have.
as an adult, when you say that, people are gonna be like, "What kind of childhood did Drew's have to self-injure quotation marks himself
Okay,
and
just
have
for just
fun
for
doing it?"
just for people at home, it wasn't cutting. It wasn't anything like that. Parents called me many things. I was Bam Bam from you know Bam Bam, right? From the is it
No,
Flintstones? Yeah, the Flintstones.
I don't think I ever
You
watched
know,
the Flintstones.
no. Okay. Well, in the Flintstones, the best friend to the main character of the Flintstones, he has a little son, and his name is Bam Bam.
Okay, I know who Bam Bam is.
Yeah. So it's a little guy. He carries like a big bone. He's super strong for being a little kid. My parents called me Bam Bam as a kid because everything I touched, I broke. Right. So and I was also basically like a vacuum cleaner because every single surface I would lick. I was very interesting kid. And then you have the other version of me who is the curious one. I had to figure out how everything worked. I had to figure out what this was. I had to figure out what this is. And I also know what happens if I stick my hand in here. So, going back to whenever I was probably about 1 or 2, I don't remember this. My parents told me this story many times. And I have scars on my fingers to remember it too.
Nice.
My dad was going through, I think, residency at the time. And we were in a hotel. And you know how hotel doors, they are the thick wooden doors. that they close. They have the metal hinges and they're heavy. They're not something easy to open and close, especially for a little kid. Well, the door was open, and I thought, huh, my hand could fit between the hinge and the door. I stuck my fingers into it as it closed and I cut my fingers off. Like, it wasn't clean. It wasn't a clean cut, but I cut them all the way to the bone and then some more. And my mom was freaking out. She pulled it out, and my dad was also home at the time. So my dad just got back from the ER because that's where his residency was, and he had to go back into the ER with me as the patient. and I remember I remember the quick little image. The only image I have of ever being like that young was of the doctor, a full face, goes all white, and he strapped me down to the bed because I was flinging my arms and everything around because I thought I was dying.
Yeah, you're bleeding immensely from your hand. It was.
Yeah. So like the story goes, for what my parents tell me, is that they strapped my hand down and they had to bring in a hand surgeon to kind of realign everything and then just stitch it all back together because the bones weren't broken. Luckily, I got so lucky my bones did not break because I was so young. They were still trying to form. So lucky, but all skin to the bone and all of the nerves, horrible. I literally couldn't I couldn't feel anything, and like I still have some trouble feeling things in like that one hand.
Yeah.
So, it was my right hand, which is the worst thing of everything. My 4 fingers on my right hand, I can barely feel things because it severed the nerves whenever I was a kid. I can still feel a little here and there, but, like, it severed quite a few nerves, so certain areas of my fingers, I just don't feel pain. But, yeah, I have a lot of experience like that where it's like, it was self-harm because I was a curious little kid who didn't know any better. And I could go on for hours about all the stupid things I've done, and you probably could too, couldn't you?
Oh, dude, there's like a whole there's when I was in preschool, like, daycare.
Yeah.
Um, I have a scar on my eyebrow. There was like just like kids playing or whatever, and one of the kids was swinging this bucket that was attached to a rope like around in a circle, just constantly like really fast, and the other kid's like, "Oh, I need help," because the kid was generally afraid, but the other kid was having too much fun, and I'm like, "Don't worry, I'll save you." Took one step
Oh, no.
forward, didn't duck, didn't do anything. Got the bucket collided with the corner of my eyebrow, split it open. Um, being a kid, I just cried a lot, and then they called my parents who came. Then they took me to the doctor, and I got stitch. I didn't get stitches. I got like that they tape like the little tape that they used to hold it together instead.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they gave me a Macca's coupon thing, and we went to Macca's, which I was pretty ecstatic about because I liked Macca's as a kid, but the coupon was expired.
They gave you an expired coupon?
It was 4 years expired.
Hold on, they gave you a 4-year-old coupon?
Yeah, well, it was small town, so not too surprising. But yeah, it was a day and a half. I think I watched Toy Story. I watched Toy Story all the time. My mum used to be able to quote Toy Story 2, like word for word, the entire thing, because as a kid, it was the only thing I'd watch, and I'd watch it on repeat all day,
Oh my gosh.
every day. So-
Yeah. You know what my movie for that was? It was Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire. I watched that movie for 48 hours straight with my uncle, and he tells me this every time. He was like, "Just wait till you have a kid and you have to watch Spider-Man for 48 hours on a couch nonstop."
I
He's
know you'll have to
so
watch something
pissed.
dumb like Frozen, like the Frozen reboot. And what was it? When I went to preschool, like they dropped me off and whatever, but they called me Buzz, and everyone thought my name was Buzz because I would say when I was asked what my name was, I would say Buzz, and I would run around saying "To Infinity and Beyond." That's all I would do in preschool for like the first month I was there until my parents came like, oh no, his name's Donovan, and they're like, oh, so it's not Buzz. No, no, not at all. So yeah, I convinced a daycare that I was Buzz. And all I would quote was Buzz saying to infinity and beyond, but all I would say is infinity beyond.
Infinity Beyond.
Infinity beyond. Didn't you know the words? Infinity beyond.
Oh, I love that. I absolutely love
Yeah.
that. This reminds me of another thing. So also preschool for me. So I was a big Scooby Doo fan. Were you a big Scooby Doo fan?
I didn't mind it.
Okay. So me as a preschooler, right? I love Scooby Doo just as much as I love Spider Man. Well, this this could be a whole nother thing for another day, like another episode. But the thing like you said earlier, things you do for like attention or for like the girl. I never really did anything crazy for girls, but I definitely have a lot of stories where I tried to get with girls. So my first one was when I was in preschool. I tried to get a girlfriend in preschool. Oh yeah.
Good job.
So so it was funny, right? So let me paint you a scene real quick. Me, young little old Druz in a preschool. I don't really make many friends because I'm a crazy little kid and I don't really know what the hell I'm doing. But I see this beautiful girl. She has this reddish hair and she's wearing these nice purple clothes. And would you guess her name is Daphne? Let me tell you, I fell for that girl.
I fell hard and I fell fast.
Exactly. So Daphne was this pretty girl, and every single preschooler wanted her, right? I distinctly remember grabbing the tub of blocks and walking over to her. It was just like block, and I was like, "You want to play blocks?" Like I remember that. And then I went home and I was like, "Mom, mom, mom! I have a girlfriend. It's Daphne from Scooby Doo."
Oh, that's great. That's awesome.
And no, it was so great. And then oh, I don't even remember what happened after that. I just remember that like it was like a one day thing because then after that, she was like talking to another guy, and I'm so pissed. But but preschooler me, day one, got a girlfriend named Daphne from Scooby Doo.
Yes. I think the
Oh
best girl story I have from young is in primary school. I knew this girl, um, and she was like really smart, and we got along heaps. And I never took anything of it. Like I wasn't very clued in about it. Uh, but then over time, people were like, "Oh no, she probably likes you, dude." Like, I'm like, "Oh really? Like, what? No one likes me. I'm weird." But of course, like we had like a very like our personalities got along really well because I was like not so smart but very nice, and she was um very smart and kind of mean, but we were still like friends. So then
the duality.
there was this other girl who was dumb, like annoying, pestilent. Um, and
Harsh.
I had this birthday party where I know, but it's just the truth. Like she was something else. It was a birthday party where I you know when they do that dumb thing of like, oh, you hit the bottom of the cake, you have to say um who you like.
Yeah.
So my problem is you are guaranteed to hit the bottom of the cake. And I then knew that the smart girl liked me and that the not so smart girl liked me. And I then came up with the conclusion that the nicest thing to do would say that I like the one that's not so smart, because the one that
Oh
was smart
no.
was tough and like very smart. And then the one that was tough and very smart, like she like broke down, cried, and I'm like, oh.
No.
And then the other one was just like, yay, yay. And then I was like, but I don't. And then just like I was like immediately like, no, I regret. Like I don't like anyone. And then
Oh no.
and that made the
No.
rest of that birthday party very awkward.
Oh my gosh. Oh man, that's like something for like a movie.
I
It's
know.
just it's like
Crippling.
yeah, it's just like, all right. I know this girl likes me. She and I, we've been going back and forth in conversations. I got grass, but there's this other girl. She also likes me. Not my type, not really. But the good thing to do would be nice so that she doesn't feel offended or lost or sad or whatever, right?
Yeah, so she doesn't have a big fit and cry
Yeah,
about
and
it.
then and the big huge movie event happens where both girls are in the same area and you break it to the girl that you actually like, that you like the other girl, and she basically dies.
That's exactly what it was. Or it's something even more funny. I messaged that girl like maybe last year. It's being like, hey, it's weird, but like I still feel kind of bad. I'm sorry about that because like as kids it kind of sucks, right? And
Yeah.
she blocked me.
Oh, she's still salty.
She's still salty about it.
She's never getting over the fact that
She will
you
never
that
get
you
over that. I
oh
will
my
never get
gosh.
over
I mean,
it's
but that's the other thing that we can bring up is how, girls never forget. They never
yeah,
do.
no, they hold on to things like it's life and death. Like they could like you will lose your life if you don't forgive that person for the mild thing they did, and you're like, kill me, and you're like, what? What? I'm sorry. This is really simple. Just get over it. You don't even
Yeah.
have to be friends. Like, no, kill me. And you're like, oh, no, crap. I didn't think this far ahead.
Yeah, I know. So, like, that brings up another thing. So, like, this is much more recent. So, I was talking to a girl. She and I, we were friends, right? And
Yep.
she and I, we talked about we got close at one point, then we started drifting away, and we were still talking anyway. So recently, I was just talking to her about how my mom doesn't like one of my friends, right? But my mom has a okayish kind of reason to not like this friend who is a girl, because my mom looks at her and she's like you shouldn't hang out with her because this and this and this, and they're like, okay, these are decent reasons, but I mean, I know she's not what you're saying, but okay, good reasons. But no,
So
this friend,
confusing.
this friend, let's say friend, was like, oh yeah, I 100% agree with your mom, and I was like,
What?
how? Yeah, I was like, hold on, how? And I didn't even tell her the reasons that my mom said. I just said my mom didn't like this person. She's like, oh yeah, 100% agree. And like, well, elaborate for me. Why don't you like this person? And she was like, well, I never liked her. I've always seen her stuck up, and I don't like the people she hangs out with. I'm like, okay, so have you ever talked to her? Okay,
Yeah.
so you've never talked to her. Okay, so you don't like the people she hangs out with, and you don't like the people she hangs out with because this one time she dumped your friend.
So,
like,
oh no, it's such a
yeah,
petty thing not to like someone
exactly,
about.
exactly. And I was like, okay. And she was like, you shouldn't be her friend either. She just uses you or whatever. I'm like, duh, okay. First of all, maybe, but not really. She started paying for all of my stuff after because like me and this friend, we would do everything. We would not do everything, but we would have a lot of fun, and like I would pay for food, I would pay for like gas mileage and everything whenever I
Is
could
this the
drive and
friend
all
that
that.
I talked to? The
Yeah,
yeah, okay.
yeah, it's that one. Anyway, so yeah, I would drive, pay gas, and all this, right? But recently she started paying for everything back and like actually showing that, oh yeah, I'm a friend because I'm gonna actually pay you back. I'm gonna actually take care of you as you take care of me. I was like, okay, well this is great. It's good to have a good friend. So I'm sitting here and I'm like, you don't know how she really is. Like, you don't understand anything she's gone through. You don't understand. like what her friends have gone through either. You don't even know anything about them. You don't even. I bet you, if you were to ask your friend, they would tell you a lie compared to like the other reason that like my friend's friend dumped her friend. Like, like I know that sounds completely insane, but like, oh, it's so petty. Those kind of things where it's like, I'm gonna get mad at you because I don't like the person you're hanging out with. So you're gonna hate me because I see the good in somebody else, huh?
Yeah, that's. Oh man, that's so crappy of a thing to do. Man, it's just like so like it's not even all girls either. A lot of guys are like it too.
Guys are like that. Oh my gosh, I have met a guy just like that too.
It's so painful to witness because it's just like why is it even a problem? Like what the fuck's the deal? Like what's the problem, mate? Like come on. It's not
Yeah,
it's
like
not it's not the end of the world. There is nothing wrong with you not liking this person even. But then not liking me because I get along with that person is a whole different story. That's when like you go from okay, reasonable to all right, so you're just a fucking idiot, right?
yeah, like how dumb do you have to be to see, oh yeah, this person hangs out with this person. Okay, I hate you because you hang out with that person.
Yeah, that's like
Like come on, grow
absolute
up.
childhood
Grow up.
fucking shit. Like that is the epitome of like playground shit.
Yeah, like ugh, it really grinds my gears. Like thinking about those types of situations, because you know this has happened more than once to me. It's probably happened more than once to you. It's happened more than
Oh
once to
yeah.
most people, where people are just like, I don't like you because and they group you with this heart, like this whole group of other people, and it's like you can't point a finger and label the person who just hangs out with this other person as a bad person just because they hang out with somebody who does something that you don't like. Like, okay, I get it. If you don't like it, that's fine. You have the freedom to express you don't like it. But don't label me as that same thing if you don't even know me. If you don't know how I am, don't know how I act at all. Don't stick me in that group.
It's it's just it is very annoying. And it's pointless. I know that there are people that don't like me because of my drinking problems, which is okay, I guess. It can be hard to deal with somebody that is in a constant state of destroying their body with alcohol. I completely get that. It's completely reasonable. Same thing happens with like drug addicts. We've gone overtime.
Oh my gosh.
um, but
Anyway, continue.
no, I just like it makes sense that people would want to distance themselves from someone that does have a heavy addiction, right? These
Yeah,
are reasonable. If someone is my friend, and then because they're my friend, someone stopped liking them, that's that wouldn't make any sense to me at all. Because that person doesn't have the addiction. They're
that
just
doesn't
fine
make sense.
to
Yeah.
be around me who does have the addiction. And it's the exact same with judging someone like that. And stretching my entire body.
You're
So
fine.
if we've gone over time, do we end this episode?
Yeah, let's go ahead. We'll call on this episode with that thought because I think what a good way to end, and it opens up a good conversation to other people.
This has been a very different episode than the others.
Yeah, well, I feel like this is much more passionate too. We have our ideas, we have our thoughts into this. It's not just, oh, let's read off of a thing and let's host our opinions. No, no, no. This is us actually talking about things that have affected us. And I feel like this touches both you and me, and this allows us to really connect to the audience as well, because I bet you guys out there probably have felt something similar to what we have gone through. And you guys probably have your own dumb stories as kids, probably have your own dumb stories when you first had your first crush or your first girlfriend or whatever back in like whatever. And so I hope that you guys have actually enjoyed this and actually can relate in some manner and also find it funny. Because I know some of this is actually really kind of interesting.
Yeah, some of it's pretty unique. Um, that wraps up the episode. If you've been listening, thanks for listening. Appreciate it. If not, that sucks. And that's it.
We'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.